every week, you know? I gotta give him credit. Every week, Fractured Wolf is here. My boy Ben.
You don't even shout out Ben Diesel.
That's the first time I'm meeting Ben Diesel. I'm excited to, but Fractured Wolf, I think, has been here since like episode 2.
Yeah, that's true.
We're live, everybody.
What?
I've been shaking my head off for like the past 2 minutes.
He was.
Okay.
He definitely was.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the WandaVision series review. This is the penultimate episode, episode 8. We got the finale next week. I have a nickname, but I thought it might be a little, I'll say it in spoilers. So I just am the number one Elizabeth fanboy, Travis Snell. I'm joined by the man in the blue shirt.
I am the Sokovian, Kirklin Patzer.
I'm joined by the guy who does the intros now, apparently.
Well, someone had to step up there. I'm the spellcasting Taylor Field.
And then we're finally joined by...
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Oh, there you go. Taylor Field, where can they find us on the internet quickly?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and then GeekVerse on Facebook. Make sure you tune into our Facebook because we have our fan base community poll that's popping off of Godzilla monsters right now.
Big tie there was today. A big tie.
There was a tie. Yeah, it's odd to get a vote at 6:59 p.m. with like 50 seconds left on the clock. It doesn't happen too often.
People like to tune in. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, if you want more information, tune in February 27th. You listen to this, the trial of the century. Taylor Field's trial is happening, but all the Facebook polls, it's going to be really good. I'm revealing some more jury members tomorrow, so that's going to be fun. As always, just head down in the description below. You have everything there. Our Patreon, where you find us on video, audio. You can watch live on YouTube and join the chat. Shout out to my boy, Fractured Wolf. I'm excited to see everyone in the chat, but Fractured Wolf, you've been with us since like episode 2, so it's all good. So I'm very excited to talk about this episode. We got one more week and then the show's done, which is kind of crazy. I'm gonna throw to Kirklin Patzer because he had said some stuff.
I knew you were gonna do that. I shouldn't have said anything.
He had said some stuff before we went live, and I want to know if he was trolling or if he was serious. So this is the second last episode. Kirklin Patzer, non-spoiler thoughts. What did you feel about? I think is this episode officially titled "Previously On"? I think that's what it came up on my Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So what did you think about "Previously On"?
I'm just gonna be fucking brutal right now. I'm just gonna say I'm disappointed. I was disappointed. I was looking forward to getting a lot of stuff answered, and I know everyone's gonna be like, well, it's just building up to the finale, bro. Just chill out, just wait a week. And I'm like,
who's that voice?
I'm gready.
He just came off Call of Duty, so he's all broy.
Yeah, that's true. I'm super bro right now. But I don't want to just absolutely shun the episode because there was a lot of cool stuff in it, but there was stuff I would definitely cut out, and you guys might disagree with me, but I felt like there was some stuff that was just unneeded, and without spoiling anything, I was looking forward to a lot of stuff in this episode, and I'm not getting it until next week. Hopefully, if they just completely not talk about it, might even fail the show. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I just I was looking forward to certain things, and it didn't happen. So I was disappointed in that sense. But there was a lot of cool stuff in this episode. They'll go into in spoilers. It's so much to. It's just I feel like everything that was in the episode is a spoiler. So just going spoiler free. It's just I don't know where I feel on it right now. I don't know. I want to hear your guys' opinion.
Okay, well, like Fracture Wolf said, you can go play Outbreak for a week. It's free, and then you can maybe cheer up. I'll go to Weigh the Balance because I love this episode. This episode, I think the reason, I can't say that because it's a spoiler. It's an episode that I had been predicting probably since episode 2 or episode 1. Since we started talking about the show, I said we're going to get an episode like this. I think it was a great fill in the blanks episode. I'm with Kirkland that not everything was answered, but I think enough was answered, and I think it has set us up for just a rockin' season finale. And they, to me, did one one reveal that I was shocked we were getting. It's from comic lore. I'm very surprised that it's happening, but it's here, and I can't. That just makes the finale even more exciting. And I'm interested to see next week what the runtime is that finale, because this was a longer episode, but I feel like next week they have so much they have to cover that either it's going to be like just rapid fire, or it could be close to that like hour long that we've kind of heard about. But either way, I actually really enjoyed this episode. I don't know if I want to say it's my favorite so far, but I've loved the comedy stuff, but I still like that we're in the real world kind of MCU. But I'll stop talking before I get too much into it. Clay, what do you think of this episode?
I am with Kirklin. To be not so light on the subject like Kirkland wanted, I will say this. It's an episode that we needed for sure. I will not disagree with the fact that we needed this episode, but in my humble opinion, this episode was almost at the bullshit level, and we'll get to it. But I have some things that were really nitpicky that I was just like, I'm not entirely okay with it, but I did like a lot of it. But when reflecting on it, I was just like, I don't know. So that's what I got for non-spoilers.
Okay, Taylor, remove them from the call. Remove them from call right now, and then tell me what did you think, Taylor, of this episode? Are you more on their side, or are you joining the right side of history over here?
I feel like I'm more on the positive side, to be honest. I mean,
Antenna boy.
Yeah, I don't know if every episode can necessarily be, the trajectory of like the sitcom and the progression of the story. I think every now and then it has to kind of like ground itself and kind of dish out some answers. Not everything, because obviously we have the finale for that, but dish out some answers and ground us and kind of showcase some very cool things, which I think we got some very cool things in this episode visually, and even like the way the episode started, I wasn't expecting that at all. And it started off, I was just like running all these different ideas through my head, like, oh, this is so cool what we're seeing, like what kind of like connection is associated with this scene and these characters in this setting. Like it was very, very awesome to behold. So I'm pretty positive on this episode, and I'm not going to say it's my favorite. It's definitely not like my least favorite episode, but I think it was definitely something that was warranted, and I think it delivered. And all around, it was a good episode.
There you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into this. Should be an interesting one, because I feel like most episodes we've all been pretty positive, like just different layers. But now we got two people that maybe not, not on the same side of the argument here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our first ad break, and then we're going to talk about everything spoilers related. So that's happening right now. Okay, we're back. So I have lots of places to jump to, but I want to jump to why you guys. So obviously, if people, I don't know why they'd be listening to this and not watching it, but either way, we're in spoilers. This was a flashback-esque episode, and I think that's what I really liked about it, because I always thought that we were either going to get a Agatha flashback episode or a Wanda flashback episode. We got those both kind of tied together, and I think it did give lots of answers, but I love the way they did it. I thought it was fun and creative. Like Clay mentioned, it was kind of like a Ghost of Christmas Past sort of scenario. I love that. I love a Christmas, what the fuck is it? Christmas Carol or whatever the fuck it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Sure.
Thank you. So, Kirk, sure. But so I really liked everything we got, and I guess maybe for me, I don't know about why you guys may be disappointed, but I guess the reason why I'm not, because I was on Taylor before we were doing the Call of Duty stream, and I just kind of thought this was the type of episode we were going to get. Like, all the big stuff was going to be saved till next week. I thought we had enough that we had to answer, and I still think there was some really big stuff here. Like, we got some actual full-on answers of, how's Vision there? What caused, the actual event? There is no Mephisto that took her over. Like, she may not be the villain, but it's like she did this all. We got a killer end credit scene. Like, I think we got tons of stuff. We got to learn about Agatha, which, we've talked about for weeks, but just to see that scene. So I'll start with you, Kirkland. Why was this like on the more disappointing side?
Well, no Evan Peters he wasn't even in this fucking episode at all. I was
I
really
told
looking
you
forward
that.
to
I said during Call of Duty, I'm like, we're not going to see him. They're holding
You didn't
that, 'cause
say that. You're like, do you think we're gonna see him?
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah.
he was like
And
stoking
then,
the fire.
yeah, and then I don't even remember what you replied. I just muted you because you're being mean to
No,
me.
I asked. I said, "Do you think we're gonna get that reveal?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, probably." And I think Taylor said, "Like, no, they're gonna save that to next week." I
You're
wanted it, but
putting
no.
words in Taylor's mouth.
I'm putting the truth.
I was really disappointed in that there's no Photon, whatever her name is,
Monica Rambeau.
Monica Rambeau. She wasn't even in this, so I was really looking forward to like I was expecting like an end credit scene with one of them at least. We didn't even get them at all in the episode. Again, you can just make the argument that they're just building up to the finale, which, I mean, like credit to them. I'm super looking forward to the finale now. It's probably the number one episode I'm looking forward to out of this entire season. But also, I really didn't like that opening. I really did not like that. I
What?
think they could have completely cut out like the flashback to Salem.
That's
In my
shocking.
honest opinion.
Oh,
I thought it was
what is
amazing.
wrong with you?
No. I'm
Oh no.
let me speak. Let me speak. In my honest opinion, I feel like the show could have gone on without me ever knowing like where she actually came from. Like she could have just been this witch. Like I didn't want to. I don't know. I have my opinion. That's the way I feel. Travis Snell, GeekVerse podcast.
Yeah. So I think I got a counter because everything in the MCU, barring Thor, has been very. This is science and science based, and
Mhm.
science fiction stuff like that. Even Thor, they make the case like, well, he's just an alien, like from a different planet. He's not really a god. It just matched up with the stories. I think the reason you need that is because when she's introducing herself as a witch, we've gotten that with Doctor Strange the most, but I still think the supernatural, because yes, there's Infinity Stones and there's the Mad Tide, but like the supernatural of Doctor Strange, it's very light in the MCU. So when you're introducing these concept of like witches and magic, I think you have to set up like just even a little bit of one. It showed her power. And I think that shows a lot as like, okay, why she's so obsessed with Wanda, because she's already a powerful being. So it's like she's already powerful. She wants more of it. Yeah, classic bad guy arc. I hope there's more of that next episode. But I think you need to show the kind of roots of magic. I think we're gonna get to that when we have like vampires and stuff like that. Like you can't just like all of a sudden be like, well, there's witches in this world. They got to set it up a little bit. And
Wait,
do they really set up? Not exactly. We got dropped in the middle of it, but I feel like it gives enough origin of like just a little. I don't know. I that's where I guess I just disagree. You saying they could have chopped. I feel like that was like vital to her character, but.
I will
Fanboy
say
Clay.
that I will say it's vital to what we learn at the very end about Wanda, and kind of the reason why I call BS. And this is something that's normal with me whenever it comes to comic book TV shows and just comic books in general. But we've been wondering, how are they going to, if they do go the route of making her a mutant, how are they going to explain it? And she's not a mutant. She is some sort of descendant witch of some sort. I don't know exactly what the Scarlet Witch is. They will probably explain it. But if you notice at the very beginning opening scene, Agatha's mother was wearing a crown that resembles a lot like Scarlet Witch's crown headpiece. And then, of course, we see in a flashback, Wanda saw the Scarlet Witch when she was hit with the Infinity Stone.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of like rolled my eyes at. I was like, "Oh God, what is this? Like, would she see the future or something? Like, or I didn't know exactly what that was, and it felt kind of just like, I don't know. It's like, oh, we have to get her to be the Scarlet Witch somehow, and we'll just make it like this. I don't know. It just felt off.
I felt like a flashback to that terrible last X-Men movie, The Phoenix, whatever, and like how she was seeing, the Scarlet Witch as like another entity. Like that's where my mind went was, God, I hate that movie. But just like that. And also a thing that really disappointed me is I feel like this kind of just wiped out the chances of us getting like more like a Magneto or something, or like a mutant like explanation for her powers.
Well, so this is the thing though. I feel like you're a little bit more just disappointed that we didn't go the X route instead of like,
Well,
this is the story.
no, because
they
I
went,
feel
right?
like this just closed the door on that. Like before, it was like it's possible.
I think that there's still like the possibility if they want to throw in a Magneto and be like, oh, she's technically half mutant or whatever. Like
Yeah.
they could possibly throw that out. But it was just like the random storytelling of this like flashback of, Agatha, like like you're full of magic, and like she didn't quite understand that she got her powers from the Infinity Stone, or that she didn't even know what an Infinity Stone was, but like with just one flashback she knew what it was. And then she's like, oh no, I have a hunch that you're something more. And it just felt off, like the way they progressed it to then become like, oh, you're this descendant, you are the
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch.
Well, how do you take it before I continue?
I mean, personally, I didn't find it to be too problematic the way that they were kind of like showcasing the Scarlet Witch in front of her. Because honestly, I didn't know what the hell I was seeing. I don't know how to interpret it. So, I mean, I can't take it
That's
as
true.
a bad thing or a good thing. It's just like, okay, I'm just absorbing this information. So, I mean, the way I see it now in retrospect, after hearing your guys' thoughts, is maybe she is somehow connected to that mother witch from Salem back in the 1600s, I'm assuming. Or what I'm more inclined to think is, and this episode convinced me more in your theory, Travis, is that she had the abilities all along and the stone just unlocked it or enhanced it. Because I believe Agatha even comments on that. The stone, like, you had it and the stone just, like, powered it up.
Yeah, and she
So,
definitely did, because it's like, and this is where we've kind of got a little bit of like, it's a retcon, but whatever, you can say it's revealing the whole Stark bomb, right? We've always just thought, it didn't blow up, but now it seems like, no, she stopped it from blowing up. So they've retold that origin story a little bit. So I always thought that they might do that. She's a mutant, and that's what unlocked it. You could, because technically the same way when you say Thor is a god, that makes him an alien, you could still say that because she is born a witch, she's a mutant, right? Like that's not a natural thing. That's like someone that would have like a birth of like, that's where I think they could spin it eventually, but I don't know if they need like, and I also don't think it closes the door. Maybe it closes the door a little bit to like, yeah, Magneto and Xavier for her story, but you don't need her exactly to. I would have liked it, but I still think you could do those characters without her. But I don't know as far as I didn't take it as she was. I'm with Taylor that when she saw herself, the Scarlet Witch in the Stone, I was like, okay, what is going on here? This is a little weird. But it did at least confirm that I think we're gonna be getting her in like a full costume in the future. Like I think there's a good shot in Doctor Strange. She's gonna be rocking the like headpiece and stuff, but like real legit like MCU Doctor Strange looking. And I don't know if I took it as like seeing the past or the future, but it was like kind of like, and I get why Kirkland maybe didn't like a premonition, because I didn't take it as like she's a full-on descendant. And even Fracture Wolf brought up the same thing as like, not like the Scarlet Witch, a Scarlet Witch, because she used chaos magic. So to me, it was just like Agatha has seen something like this before in the past. Someone with these powers, with this type of like chaos magic, and that is a Scarlet Witch. Do I think that's a very ham-fisted way for her to get her name? Yeah, just her to be like, "You're a Scarlet Witch," and just like
She says
okay.
the Scarlet Witch. I literally just pulled it up and with subtitles on. It says,
Does she say the Scarlet
and that
Witch?
makes
Oh,
you
you
just
just
the Scarlet Witch.
debunked Fractured
Oh,
Wolf.
Fractured
Yeah.
Wolf! You better come back with a screenshot.
I'll post
Uh,
this.
But but like, so that's the thing. Like, I guess that stuff didn't bug me, and I don't think you guys are wrong as far as it being maybe a little clunky. But I just was like, okay, we're going with it. We're getting lots of stuff going on. Kirkland has sent me. He said, "Oof, I'm gonna die." Well,
It's a dong
Fracture.
pic.
We all
Yeah.
lie. So let's see, and that makes you the Scarlet Witch. So then it is more of a prophecy thing, and I guess that's where. I guess for me that also comes down to what do they do with Doctor Strange and how does that handle it? Because they're throwing a lot at the wall right now, which I think could stick and could not. I guess the witch stuff for me either didn't bother me or I'm in a wait and see sort of aspect. I didn't take the same way as Kirkland where I had the Dark Phoenix vibes. Like yeah, she was seeing stuff, but I think I was like okay, this is still playing well enough for me. Like let's see where we're going, and I think it makes sense with what we're getting the MCU as far as we're getting Moon Knight, we're getting Blade, we're getting more Doctor Strange. We are getting more supernatural. So if they want to introduce this witch-like magic quality, okay, we can do it. She's been a witch before in the comics. They've gone back and forth before of her being a mutant or a witch and stuff. So I guess it worked for me. I guess that's all I can say for now. It worked for me, but I don't think you guys are wrong as far as some of your complaints.
Thank you for admitting that. Taylor
what?
Field Fields, how
Yeah.
you doing?
I'm doing good.
Do you want it? Do you want it?
I don't want to. No, I think just what you're saying about the whole intro with the Salem and her origin story. I just wanted to touch upon that. I really, really like that intro.
I knew you would
I-
like
Oh
that.
yeah,
It's
like,
so good.
it's
I'm
so good.
No,
I'm
It is
surprised you
good.
didn't, Kirkland. That's like Sith dark side stuff. Like the way,
Mhm.
like I was surprised you weren't for it. You know, like
I am glad she didn't go with like the evil witch laugh or anything in the midst of all that, because that would have like turned me off to it. That would have been like, oh, that's a little too cliche. But overall, it looked great. Like it really did.
Like,
And Catherine Hahn killed it, and she was
She
fantastic
did.
this whole episode. And I got a shout out. I can't remember who gave us a review, but someone on iPod or Apple Podcast gave us a 5-star review, and they said some stuff. And this thing we'll talk about before, but like as far as acting in this episode, she was great. We'll get into, but Elizabeth Olsen just fucking destroyed it. She was so good in this episode. But yeah, Catherine
Definitely.
Hahn was fantastic. I thought she was good at being a subtle villain, but like Clay said, like I don't know if you guys agree this whole episode. I felt like she could have went really over the top, but she didn't. She like held it back, and you could see that there's gonna become a time where I think she's gonna chew up that scenery a bit. But that moment when she was like doing transfiguration with like the different animals and stuff like that.
Oh my
just the way
god,
she
she's
was talking-
squeezing the freaking bird. Oh,
Yeah, and she's talking like quietly, but also like it's getting like a raised voice. To me, I think it could have went cheesy, but that scene, it like she played it very subtly well. So I loved it. Taylor, you were going on
a
about that.
part
scene
of
now.
me.
I
Oh.
disagree with that, honestly. I like her in this episode. I felt like I just didn't like it. So maybe that's a big thing
wow.
on it. Like I'm a huge fan of her in like the comedy side of it. So I loved her in like the sitcom stuff. I just watched Parks and Rec, and she's fucking great in that. Like she, again, just over the top comedic role. And when she was doing like the hand gestures, just for me, it just felt corny and cheesy. I don't know. It didn't hit me well. And like especially at the end when she's in like the full witch costume and everything, I just wasn't. I don't know what it was. I didn't really. I know it's weird.
Kirkland, we were like this in the beginning. Now I'm sorry, I can't.
It's all right. I'll
The
be I'll be
costume
the lone
reveal is
soldier.
great. I'm so glad we got. I loved the look of it and everything like that. And
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe like next episode when I really didn't like the time jump to like, or not the time jump, but like starting like the 1600s, the Salem witch trials. I just thought it was too cliche for having like the first appearance of like witch type characters. Like that's where we're going with it, but I don't know.
So before Taylor goes, if let's say Agatha doesn't make it out of this series, because people have talked about maybe she is the Loki to Doctor Strange's Thanos, and that's a nightmare Mephisto. If she doesn't make it out of the series, do you feel like you would still cut that scene? Like let's say she doesn't make it past this. I feel like if she just would be there for the flashbacks and then maybe get defeated next week, you might be like, like we didn't get too much. Where at least two things: one, it kind of sets up Scarlet Witch's trajectory of like accepting her inner witch or whatever these powers
Yeah.
are, and then two, it fleshed her out a little bit more. So what if she doesn't make it, and this is all we
Well,
have of Agatha?
Yeah, I think once the show's over and I'm thinking, or like when I'm rewatching and thinking back on it, my opinion might definitely change, because if she doesn't make through through the series,
Mhm.
then yeah, that like this is important. Like we do need to know her origin. I just felt like that could have been done for me personally in just a better way. Like I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'll have to rewatch it. Maybe my opinion will change. But right now on the first viewing, when it started, like I really like the purple Marvel logo that we got. That was really cool. And then yeah, when it went to like 1600s right away, I was just like, oh god. Like
I'm surprised.
that was I know it's yeah.
It was a little bit of a twist to like know that like it was the actual coven that
Right.
like was like hooking her up to the post or whatever.
Thought
Because
she was
of
gonna get
course
burned or
it
something, yeah.
said Salem witch trials, and you're like, oh, she's about to be burned, and then she's gonna survive. You know, the whole cliche thing.
Yeah.
But to know that she was going into some like dark, heavy stuff with witches spells or whatever she was being accused of, I think that was really cool. I genuinely thought it was cool. I will admit that I completely forgot, and I don't know why I forgot, because it's the key to everything in the MCU, that Stark Industries had anything to do with the death of Wanda's parents. Totally forgot about all that.
Oh, yeah.
So when I saw the missile, I thought it was like a joke.
Another Stark making a villain sort of deal.
Oh man.
Taylor.
Fields.
Yeah,
I don't remember
that
my main
GeekVerse
point
podcast.
anymore. It's
You
long
were,
gone.
but we went all. Well, I don't think you ever were fully starting. We were going to talk about the witch trials, and you were about to go, but then
You said you
Kirkland
really
decided
liked
to
it.
shit on the whole show. And
That's
just,
not
shit
true.
on Kevin Feige. No, I think it's great. We finally have some, pushback. But no, what did you think about the opening of Agatha?
Yeah, again, like I really, really like that opening, and it had me just pondering these different theories and questions. Like I know I've seen very loosely, and I, I have nothing to back this up, and I have no knowledge of any form of connection between these two characters. But just like Dormammu and the purple and everything with Agatha, and I just thought, that'd be kind of cool to just have some form of connection between them. But again, that's more like that's been done already, in Doctor Strange. So again, I just thought, okay, what is assisting her? This isn't obviously her magic solely protecting her and retaliating against these witches, because she looked totally out of control, and she wouldn't have let it come to this point. So, who's helping her? Again, I kind of was expecting when she was playing with that insect and was doing its thing, or she was doing its thing to it. I thought it was gonna like transform. Mephisto was just gonna appear and be like, "Oh, we're getting the double
The
dose
fly
here."
just like starts talking.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, what?
I was gonna be so ecstatic. But I do have a question now. After last week's episode and this week's episode, and considering how well established Agatha is in Westview, do you guys feel like she was there pre-Hex, or she came there after the Hex formed?
After, because I feel
After.
like even last week when we got Agatha all along, it shows her like landing in. So I feel like she sees the surge, and like she said, she's been watching Wanda for these years, trying to figure it out, like her power or whatnot. So I feel like she saw it. This was her chance to like burrow in there and pretend to be Westview and everything like that. So I feel like she wasn't in there originally.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really did like that moment of when she reveals like all the runes and everything like that, of like, oh, you are power, the only person that could break this is the witch that, casts a spell. And I like that as far as because Wanda is supposed to be this super powerful character. So the second she was all tied up and couldn't do anything, I was like, okay, what are we going to do here? You don't want to depower them. And it's like, well, they don't depower them. It's just that Agatha was smart and had all these things laid out. And it would make sense. They're in her like little dark, wet cave. So it's like she should have everything, set up. And, yeah, it's very interesting. Like, I liked all the cicada stuff. I liked all the bug stuff. It is interesting that everyone's going to talk about, but with the bunny, she did say, like, oh, finally we got to reveal us or something like that. She used the word us to say, like, us got to come out. I can't remember what the exact
Like
term
Venom.
was. Oh, I don't want that. But, and then
she was
did that-
saying something like, she gets to finally see who we are, who we really are.
And so it was plural, and then, she did throw that cicada to the bunny just to chomp down. So if anyone thought that cicada was going to be Mephisto, then Mephisto is dead. But she was feeding that bunny. So the fact that she used plural and she's feeding that bunny.
So is the bunny's name Ralph?
We still haven't. Well, that's
Yeah, I know.
interesting.
Are we going to get Ralph?
I don't know. We got a lot coming next week, and it's just. And this is the other thing you mentioned, that you said you wanted to see Evan Peters. We didn't see Evan Peters, but we did find out more about him.
Well, like she mentioned Pietro. That was kind of a funny name, just like fake Pietro. So is like, again, I just got worried because it's like, oh, is he just literally like a goon that she had, and like, or is this actually the Fox, Quicksilver or something like that? Like, I felt like, again, it's not a solid answer, but and like we'll know more when we actually see him on screen next week. But when she first mentioned like, oh yeah, like just the way that she was talking about him, I was just like getting concerned, because now I'm like, oh no, like maybe he isn't important. Maybe he literally is just a stand-in character that is just a mess with Wanda, because she thought that was, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Pietro. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'm of a few minds. So last week, me and Taylor said, because the end credit scene felt more negative. He's giving off a negative vibe, but I think if it was negative, we would have got a follow-up on that right away. And I think that her saying Pietro, but she never says, like, she pulled the guy from Westview. She never pulled him from anything. Like, she didn't clarify where he was from, just that she believed it right away. I am wondering if we kind of get a mix where it is a random guy from the MCU, but now he has like Quicksilver's powers and he is kind of the MCU's Quicksilver. I don't know how I feel about that, but obviously we're gonna see more next week. I just feel like if he would have been bad, it would have even shown a scene of him like he has Monica like tied up, like indisposed, right? Like he took her out, and that's why she can't help. But I don't know. Like she didn't talk about fake troll like they had a relation. Like Agatha didn't talk about her like she had a relationship or like tons of control. Like she's been working with him all the time. It just sounds like she also switched him around. So I don't know. What about you, Clay? What do you take from? We didn't get really much other than a few sentences from her about Pietro or fake Joe or whatever's going on with
it's
him.
it's a very like risky thing to think, just because we know how much this show has, flipped us on almost every theory that we've tried to pull out on this show. And I do want to say, I know the chat was talking about Westview. The whole thing in the very beginning of the show when they said it was Eastview, that's part of the hex.
Yeah.
Wanda was telling the police officers, like messing with their brains to make it think that it was Eastview and not Westview. But other than that, I do think I'm going to go out on a limb and think that this is, in fact, Fox Quicksilver, just because, she basically confirmed, like, hey, I couldn't do anything with your brother because he's in a completely different continent. And if he was
Has holes
closer,
in him.
I could probably do something with it. But since, maybe this whole thing with the Nexus or whatever we're assuming that is, somehow Fox's Quicksilver jumped over. We don't know how, we don't know when, whatever. But I'm going to make the assumption that that's what it is. And it's going to be interesting.
I really hope that's the case, because like I said, what like I came out of this episode thinking is like we're really getting away from the possibilities of getting Fox type or like a Fox Quicksilver or like just those types of characters, whether it's mutants, Magneto, anyone. And I felt like they were closing the doors on that, at least from what I was learning. And like when she was just like very much like talking about Pietro like he is just a goon, that's where I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, I really hope this isn't just like the show, like the showrunners like, well, we could just get a regular goon, but it'd be fun to have Evan Peters in there just for the fans, like I really hope that's not the case.
I do too, and I do worry because I see that kind of worry with everybody else. But I do wonder if we had not seen Evan Peters and then she talked about him that way, I would think like that. But the fact that we did get that end credit scene that last week shows that okay, she's talking about him, but he is going to pop up in the show at some point again. I hope it's like, to me, even if he was like a lackey that was working for her, I think she'd even talk about him a bit more kindly, not kindly, but just like she still is using him. Where it just sounded like he's off on his own now. Like I still don't know. Same thing is like, is it still technically the Wonder Woman 1984 thing where Pietro's essence like was in this guy, or is it just like she just, I don't know. I think we'll have to get some more confirmation on that. I think obviously we're gonna see him again next week because they didn't do the end credit scene for nothing. If there was no end credit scene, just like, oh, they just did it for the 2 weeks and had some fun with us and that was it. So we will see it. But Taylor, where are you? Because last week you said you were feeling negative. How do you feel this week as far as we're going to probably get that answer about what's going on with Evan Peters? Do you think he is a Fox Quicksilver? Do you think, and even then, I still think there's a chance that he could be doing the J.K. Simmons thing where he is playing a Quicksilver, but it's not necessarily the Fox one. They just wanted to keep him. I don't know. But after this week, how are you feeling?
I am more inclined to agree with you on the possibility of it being like this universe's Quicksilver and not Fox's. I really don't feel like they're going to go the route of pulling like the same characters that are canon in the Fox universe. It just doesn't. I feel like Disney doesn't really do that. I think Disney likes to put their own stamp of approval
We
and
don't do that here.
seal on their work. We've seen the very stressful relationship between them and Sony with Spider-Man. So there's obviously a fight for creative control, and Disney doesn't have to fight for their Fox characters. They own them. They can literally dish them out however they want. So they're getting fun with that. That's why I think you're more or less right in the sense where it is like the J.K. Simmons route with Spider-Man, and it's just he's playing the same character but in a different universe, not related to the previous one. With that, now they did talk about, or Agatha did talk about, like, yeah, I couldn't bring back him or your original brother because he was on another continent and stuff. And just to like, I don't know. I'm not like a professional of chaos magic or anything like that. But wouldn't she? I guess it's like the limit of her abilities, because like if she did pull him from another universe, let's say, at this point hypothetically, wouldn't it be easier to pull him from a continent than from another universe, or would it be easier for a witch to pull a character from another universe?
That's true. You do feel like, yeah, just going back to Sokovia to get his body would be easier than going to the Fox universe to get this Quicksilver. And someone did say, like, how does he have super speed? Like, that's where I don't know, like, if that is that an Agatha thing, is that a WandaVision
Yeah.
thing, because she's like it almost because so let's talk about this. We saw how Vision came back in this episode, which is very interesting because a few episodes ago we made it like they had fun with us and made it look like she stole Vision's body. She never did. Hayward he's saying that, right? Like he's saying
Yeah.
she stole his
Yeah.
body, but
He's fucking dirty.
we have the footage of her breaking the glass and coming down, but it was just like a nice goodbye. I think we've talked about this in our Discord, that I think he is just a guy, and other people brought this up. He just maybe doesn't like superheroes or doesn't like whatever enhance people or whatnot, because I don't think with so much, and we're going to get into it, but with so much on the line next week, I just don't think he's Ultron or a Skrull. I just think that's another thing they don't need to throw in right now. I think he's just going to be a dirty guy that maybe he's somewhere else, but she literally just like, and I guess this is our answer maybe of why he can't leave the Hex. She literally like rebirthed Vision. She took like what she felt almost like in Infinity War when she like blew up Vision. She said she came back to the line tonight like, oh, I just feel you. It's almost like she absorbed his essence in that moment and she just brought it back to life. But he has the feelings and the love of Vision, but he has, as we've learned, none of the memory or anything like that. And he's not the robot back. He's literally she's just created him. So I think it's kind of like the kids that unfortunately I feel like when this dome shuts down or when it goes away, he's gonna
Well,
disappear,
yeah.
much like these kids, right? Like that's to me how I took it. But I thought, go ahead.
The difference with that, though, again, I can't say difference because it's very convoluted how these things were executed with her magic. Again, we saw her literally project out of herself Vision and created a second Vision basically with no memory of the past and
Yeah.
all that fun stuff. But then her kids weren't, as the way I see it, like they were born of her magic, but she didn't project it out like she did with Vision. She literally gave birth to living beings. So it just makes me wonder.
Yeah, or is
I don't
that
know,
just her
though.
mind
She,
doing that?
like,
yeah.
she's
Well, it
pregnant
could
like
be
a
her
knight.
But there's a
That's not
lot of
natural
things that
birth.
are starting to be convoluted with the show. That is kind of why I was kind of upset with it, because the whole thing, Taylor, you are right, because even Monica had said like everything in there is real. She is just changing what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well-
she did give birth to those kids, but also one of the biggest convoluted things that I have now found with just like listening to all of us talk is the fact that Hayward is tracking Vision. And there was even a line, he's like, oh, he really wants to come out. Like, why would he be tracking a fake Vision
Right. That's a good point.
if he already, we'll get to the end credit scene pretty
Well-
soon, but why? Like, why is it such an important thing to get the idea of Vision?
Well, I think it goes hand in hand with what he said earlier, because when he confronted Wanda, he even stated like, you have the ability to bring him back or create him or something along those lines, right?
Put him
So-
back online.
Put him back online, yeah. Whether it was the one that they were repairing, or whether I doubt he was able to think like, yeah, Wanda, you can just project another Vision out of your magic. Like, I doubt he was able to think of that, but he knows more than obviously he's letting on, and
Yeah.
what we've seen. So
Well, we're going to talk more about that after this ad break. And we're back. Yeah, it's very interesting because it's one of these things of like, does the show need to answer everything next week? And not everything, but I do think they have a lot of questions. And I think Hayward's motivations is something that needs to be revealed and not necessarily wrapped up, but definitely put on a bow unless he's going to be around more. They just need to, I think, give more points like what's going on, because like you said, he is tracking Vision, but the same thing, is he actually tracking Vision? Is that like some sort of red herring from tracking Wanda? How would he track Wanda then? I don't know, because she's not a robot and it doesn't look like he put any like sensors on or anything like that. But I liked the idea. I liked that scene of her actually like birthing Vision. I like that it was black and white. I love like her body is just contorted in all ways, and I'm not saying that in any sort of way. Don't twist my words, but I'm just saying like it did not look like it looked painful, and like it looked like I liked the whole scene, and it just shows again how powerful she is. And I just think this whole entire episode, Elizabeth Olsen was on fire. We've got to see her this whole season do like the comedic shtick, the power shtick, but this like she is playing similar version we've seen before of her being downtrodden, but this was to the nth degree, and we got to see her just go through so much and saying goodbye to Vision for like the last time, her getting that whatever that deed Vision left her, like he had bought a piece of property for her, and she goes to Westview, and just when she opens it up and she's full, like she was phenomenal in this episode. She does so well, and I loved everything with her in it, even her reacting to all like the little dream sequences or whatever, the flashbacks. So, and then we kind of talked about this a little bit, but like she fell to her knees and just we got our answer that there was no, because at first when she got in the car and there was paper on her seat, I thought, oh, is this like a fucking contract? Like, is this literally gonna be a deal with the devil sort of thing of like she's gonna open up, be like, what's this? But no, it was just a property, and she created it. It wasn't, I don't think she meant to create it. She just created it out of grief, but still, she created this bubble. There was no, you know, bad guy that did it that was using her. And I thought that, I like that they did double down on that. Is she the villain necessarily? No, but she is still in the sense of she created this and didn't stop it. And, and now, like, even though, like, you were talking about Taylor with the kids actually being born, I still think that those kids disappear because it's the same as Vision. Like the only reason Vision wasn't born because I don't think she's gonna put Vision in her belly and go like, and she's not in the comedy world at that point, right? Where when she's in Westview in the episode, she's like, oh well, I gotta be pregnant because we gotta have these kids naturally in a way. So I don't know, but I thought Olsen as always did great, but I thought she did even better this episode. I thought they gave her a lot to do and very well done.
You mentioned that envelope. Now I'm assuming obviously because it was already opened, it looked like, and it was already on her passenger chair or passenger seat.
Yeah.
I definitely for some reason had the inclination that when she got in there she looked startled when she saw it, and I was thinking, did someone put it there to try and maybe trigger this response or something? Because she seemed like everything was like this was all like new to her when she was going to Westview, and she was just looking around. Like it just seemed like it was a first time for her. Even when she saw the envelope when she got into her car, it seemed like it was the first time. Again, maybe I'm just overthinking it.
The envelope I'll have to watch again, but Westview is definitely the first time. But I actually really like that scene of seeing all the neighbors and people we've met throughout the series of just their normal, like, regular everyday life.
No
and
Dottie.
no Dottie, no. And even then, I still like that, like, talking about, like, her being depressed and alone. When she's going to Sword, what's the thing she sees on the big TV? Is all these families, like, families reunited. Like, they're all happy. Everyone's, like everyone's celebrating that the snap or the blip is over. And here she is, though, still alone, celebrating with no one. And I don't know, pretty brutal to see, you know, the person you love just like ripped to shreds. Like they're literally just like scraping metal off his body, and it's just like not a great experience for you. So I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I loved all that stuff of her going to. So I really liked like the twist that it wasn't how we first perceived it. You know, you were mentioning like you don't think there's anything too crazy with Hayward. He's just kind of a dirty guy. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility though, that there is some like deeper thing with him, because I feel like, I don't know if he is some sort of scroll hidden. I'm not saying I 100% believe in that, but like,
yeah,
when they want someone like the Vision as their weapon, like literally have something like that under the thumb that like, you know, like
they
literally
could. I just feel like, so we're going to have to, at some way, wrap up or send Monica on her next adventure. You're going to have to wrap up Evan Peters. You're going to have to wrap up Vision, Scarlet Witch, her kids, and now Agatha. That's already like six. And then if there's this big surprise cameo, that's a seventh thing. Like, I feel like there are like 6 or 7 things. Like, maybe they could answer boom, 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 but I just the whole time. But I feel like, in a way, for us to get, if he's not just a dick or a bad guy, if he was a Skrull or Ultron, that would need like a whole nother episode, I think, to maybe allude to that. But I feel like I feel like they're gonna write him off, or he'll die by like mistake. Like Agatha and like the big battle will take him out, and it'll be revealed he was just a shitty guy, but nothing too big. But I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. I'm just wondering if it's still, again, there's just too much going on for the show for them to introduce that last episode.
You got a lot of stuff leading into this finale, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no surprise that he is a shitty guy. He's going after Wanda over just one broken window, you know. So
He really liked that window, Clay. He's like, oh, I just got it installed.
That was his office window, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I'd be
How
pissed.
morbid is that, though?
I know,
too?
and
His-
like he did reference that like Wanda would possibly like do something with Vision as far as like using it as a weapon. And I'm just like, you clearly see that she is broken. She is like a depressed woman that
Yeah.
is that literally has said, I just want to bury him. That's it.
You can't. He's our property. He's $3
I mean,
billion of
Technically,
vibranium.
couldn't they just let her do that and then, just do the classic grave robin, like, the night
Classic Grey
after?
Robin. I don't
It's been
think
around for a while.
No, I don't think.
No,
they
$3
let
billion
it-
dollars worth of vibranium.
have you guys heard like the I don't want to say rumor, but the head canon that we're going to be getting a 10th episode with
Yeah, I have heard like there was some sort of like secret like reveal of like, oh, there is a 10th. I don't believe it all because they've already said that WandaVision documentary episode is coming out that week, and I feel like they would advertise it. Would I be excited for 10th episode? Sure, and it could make sense with a lot of stuff happening, but because there's one thing on that list we didn't talk about yet, which is massive, but I don't buy that there's going to be a 10th episode. I think next week will be a longer one, maybe almost a full hour, but it'll be the ending of the show.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige confirmed an hour.
No, I'm just the Kevin Feige confirmed hour. Yeah, that's what you heard it here first. I'm going to make a poster with his name on it soon.
Yeah, I really don't think that everything's going to be answered to by the end of the show. I think there's still going to be quite a few things that are just, like, I'm not going to say they're never going to talk about them, but they'll be talked about.
I don't think it necessarily has to though. Like we've seen that is the Marvel method, We've seen it with the end of the Avengers. We've seen it at the end of Civil War. Like there's these moments that get people all crazy, and it's basically just like television, that small little end credit bomb that gets people talking and wondering when they're going to answer that. The whole thing with Thanos. Oh, I guess I'll do it myself, and we didn't see that until Infinity War.
Mhm.
So if we do end up seeing freaking Hayward's eye turn red because he's Ultron, like we probably won't get it for another 4 years. So
I think Hayward they'll answer. I think Evan Peters is a must. I think he's like that's one that they really need to cross off the list because I feel like he doesn't sound like he's in Doctor Strange 2 or anything like that. So it sounds like this is his secluded story. I still think the only other way I still think there could be a Fox cameo of X-Men if they do find he is from a multiverse, and it's literally just sending him back, and that is the cameo of like Elizabeth Olsen sending him back to Patrick Stewart, like, here you go, or whoever it may be. But I don't know, like that cameo, it's getting fewer and far in between as far as like, if there's no Mephisto, if he's not an X-Men character, like who could it be? But one reveal we did get, which I can't believe we're 47 minutes into and we haven't talked about, but the end credit. We got another end credit scene, very cool too, and also we'll probably get one next week. And I was really worried they were going to cut away and not show us what they were working on. But if you check out Marvel Lines, we've talked about this. There's a comic book storyline where this happens to Vision, or he becomes the White Vision, and it's the same body, same kind of made up solution as far as what he can do, but he has none of them. Kind of like the Vision in the Hex, but the difference is that Vision like loves Wanda right away, right? Like still knows his relationship. This Vision is literally like carbon dated, like new, fresh, and the fact that they did that, I was very surprised because I talked about it with Chris a few times, like, oh, they could definitely do that, but once we got later on the show, I was like, I don't see it happening. I was shocked that we got it in the end credit because what does it mean? Is he sending Vision into the White Vision into the dome like Logan style, where there's going to be nice Vision and like evil Vision? What's going to happen? Is this Vision going to survive past this? Because what happens is later that White Vision would survive, and then later on he like got his memories back, so that's how he could know like, oh, this was Wanda, we had kids and all this stuff. So like, could this vessel of White Vision happen? I don't know, Clay. What do you think about that? That they revealed that White Vision is a thing in the MCU now.
I was really surprised. There was rumors, and I know that you and Chris at Marvel Alliance had kind of guessed whether it would actually happen or not.
Mm,
So I was really thrilled. He looks great. A little on the blue side, but that's okay.
yeah.
I think he still looks great. As far as what's going to happen to him, you know, I don't know if I would exactly like the whole like Logan style good versus evil vision or whatever.
Mm.
But I could assume that there's going to be some sort of connection to what Wanda did while she was like petting his head and using her power. And she's like, oh, I can't feel you. I can't feel you.
Mm.
I think that might play into if she tries to connect with them in any kind of way. I think that'll play with it.
Taylor, what about you? Do you think what's going to go on with White Vision? I know you don't have much experience with this, but what do you see this leading to in this series, or I guess even in the MCU?
Yeah, I really don't know much about White Vision. I think what your brief explanation of his character sounds pretty cool. I just know after seeing him, I was just thinking to myself, okay, like he looks evil. That's all I could feel like it's just evil
Yeah.
emanating off of him. But I definitely, I don't know. I wasn't sure who we were gonna see because they were really playing around with the camera angle. Like they weren't gonna show us till next week or maybe not at all in this season. But um, yeah, I think he looks really, really cool. I really like when he was like Frankenstein back to life. I was getting like
Mhm.
freaky vibes from him, and I'm stoked to see what he does because now that we have two visions, and this vision obviously has none of the powers that the Mind Stone allowed him to use, right?
I don't think so. No, it doesn't look like he has. It'll be interesting what powers he has. Obviously, some vibranium stuff. So I think he'll have like the speed and the strength, but I don't know if he's gonna be shooting beams out of his head.
Oh, okay. And I know I was writing off of like Hansi's conversation, I think with like Carl or in the Discord about Sentinels and such. And a part of me slightly was thinking, okay, if they are getting into the whole mutants scenario now, that what if this is like the first Sentinel of sorts or something like that? But apparently that is not the case, unless he is a proto Sentinel. But I don't think
He
so at
could
this
be.
point.
They call him a sentient weapon. I don't think so either. But it's funny that you say like, oh, it's so crazy that we have, and that's why my colors right now are white. That we have the two visions. I feel like by the end of the series we're gonna have no visions. I do think we're gonna get the Logan. I think he's just gonna. I think him being White Vision is just like a fun tribute to the fans and comic book readers of like, look, we're acknowledging this. It is that type of vision, but instead of him going off and becoming an Avenger or like getting his memories back, he's just gonna go in there to fight, And yeah, I think he's gonna be bad. I think he will meet his because I also just don't know like. Does this vision maybe does, but does a vision like memoryless have a place in the MCU? Like I guess it's just I'm very interested to see like where they end at the end of the show because to see where one is gonna be in Doctor Strange. Like if she goes Doctor Strange 2, would that mean Vision would be in it, like White Vision?
You mean
I don't know.
so a memoryless vision, like the place in the MCU for that type of character? Because
Well,
I could
yeah,
make a pitch.
Well, I just feel like is that something like where would he be? What would he be doing?
I don't
He would
think like
be-
long term it would be fitting.
It
I
wouldn't
think
be
it would
long term at all. He would
No.
be flying the Quinjet into the mansion, and then Ultron bots would come out of his chest.
Okay, well you've been reading House of M. You were gonna talk about
CBV,
yeah.
that's a little
I
preview.
actually have a pitch for where he could play a part.
Lay it on me.
If more rumors are true and we're going for Young Avengers, there has been a lot of plays off of the next Avengers where Vision plays the same role as Red Tornado did in Young Justice. He is the mentor type character. He's the one that watches over them.
Yeah.
If he is, something like that, he doesn't necessarily need all of his memories with the Avengers. So, he could do something like that.
And they're definitely set. Like I know he's been a part of like Fracture talk about in the chat like West Coast Adventures, but like West Coast Avengers.
West Coast Adventures.
That was my whole childhood.
No, Avengers. Not a. Hey, it's 2 a.m. over here. It's getting late, but like no, not Adventures. But there's that. But they are setting up Young Avengers or Champions, whatever they're gonna call it. Like all the characters are starting to assemble. So I guess I could see that because I am starting to buy and sell myself that Scarlet Witch is not going to die in Phase 4, and maybe he could be around, and maybe we get that reunion, and maybe eventually he does start to remember more as far as like his memories and powers and everything like that. So then when Scarlet's fully healed and he's remembered, they can get back and fall in love and everything like that. But yeah, I think he'll be done next episode, but I'm not opposed to him sticking around, you know. So we'll see. Kirkland, did you have any thoughts on? Because you talked a little bit. Kirkland's gone again. He's having fun internet tonight. Let's see. Is there anything? I guess we talked about them a little bit, but like the flashbacks we got of Scarlet was her as a kid. We should have talked about this, but we kind of knew this. We got established of why she's doing the sitcoms. She was a big fan as a kid. Kind of that theory of people not in America watch American sitcoms, kind of learn the culture, the characters, everything like that. So that was something that's theorized, so it wasn't a big shock, but I liked it. And then we got the scene that her with the Mindstone, which was great because it showed like like I said, I think it's a little bit clunky, but I liked seeing the actual outfit and everything. But that was cool. We got her in the prison cell, and then we got her in her first meeting with Vision, which I liked and didn't like. I think the dialogue was really written well, and like that line, I wrote it down. Where is it here? That one, because she's talking about grieving and death and everything like that, and she's talking about like grief, and then Vision just says, "What is grief but love preserving?" And that's just such a great line. Like that's just like, and like that's just perfect as far as like, yeah, why do you still love someone when they're gone, or why are you always sad when that person's gone? It's because that love sustains and it's still in your life. So I thought that was great. The only thing I didn't like is if this was like after Ultron, I thought he was a little too current day Vision. Like the Ultron or the sort of the Vision that I have in my mind for in Ultron and Civil War, he's still very robotic and he doesn't have much personality. Where I felt this, he kind of had a little like he was making like facial expressions and stuff. I felt like he was a little too personable for my take for this point of view, because I thought the point in Infinity War was like, oh, he is changing, and then this is showing he's changed a lot. Obviously, she kind of made it up. So that's the only thing I thought. I don't know if this works again, but I like the first meeting. I think the dialogue as far as them talk is really well, especially that line as far as I just thought was just very well written. Any thoughts on the flashbacks or anything like that, or their first meeting? Or
Well, they tried to, well, at least they did a nod to, him kind of being robotic to the point of like him going through the walls instead of going through the door. That was a really big thing in Civil War. And you're right, that whole scene was great. The writing was really well done, but I do agree he was a little more like he is in Westview, and that didn't take me out too much. But now looking back on it, I can see how people could possibly feel that way towards it. But I'm still stuck on this whole Scarlet Witch ordeal, and I hope that maybe we can kind of just like move away from it like immediately into the next episode and just get on with like how are we gonna wrap it up.
Move away from it immediately. I don't think they're gonna immediately move from it, because I feel like she is gonna get that costume, and I think you'll get maybe a little bit more. I think you could get more of that also in Doctor Strange, because if he's dealing with mysticism and magic stuff like that, they might touch on it a little bit more. And I do think one thing about these flashbacks of with Agatha, it was great that we've been told this stuff. Obviously, the thing with the bomb was new of her actually stopping it, but it was great to actually like flesh out Wanda a bit more as far as a character that was just plopped in Age of Ultron. Just like, here you go, she's a part of the Avengers and she's a main character. I think it was kind of good retroactively to see all this stuff, and I think it helped her character out quite a bit. Kirklin, we were just talking about all those flashbacks and everything, and talking about Vision and that scene in the meeting the first time. But was there anything on the flashbacks or like the dreams, whatever?
I love the flashbacks. Again, at the beginning of this episode, I was kind of just railing on all the things I didn't like, but there was a lot of stuff I did like. You already mentioned the performances was phenomenal. Elizabeth Olsen, man, she's just killing it. This show is she's really just really like starring of the show, and it's really showing, and I'm so impressed. But anyways, the line that you mentioned with Vision, fuck, I'm not even gonna paraphrase it because I know I'll butcher it, but it was just
It
really
was,
like,
what is grief but love preserving?
yeah, no, it was like that was a heartfelt line. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like I felt with the loss of loved ones and shit, and like that is like hit me, and I'm like, damn, like well said, Vision. So that was awesome. And yeah, I thought the flashbacks were really good. It was just further developing the character of Wanda Maximoff, and I really really like those flashbacks, and it was a fun little like I mean, Clay mentioned at the beginning like Ghosts of Christmas Past sort of thing. So I thought that was really well done.
Taylor, anything or moving on?
I don't have much to say. Just I enjoyed the flashbacks a lot. I think it was definitely a lot more development to the characters. The whole time while we were getting her in that living room, like I was watching with Madison. I didn't want to say anything because I was just waiting for the bomb to come in, and she almost like fell.
Dude,
off
that scared the shit out of me.
She almost
I
fell off
forgot
the
about
couch. I knew it was coming.
I didn't. I just thought, oh, this is just a night in the Maximoff household. Like, I know it might come eventually, but like, and yeah, it went quick. It's like boom, and that's the other thing I guess I didn't mention is in the beginning of the Salem Witch stuff. I really liked how the witches look when they got the life force sucked out of everything. I thought that was kind of fun, getting some mummy style stuff. But yeah, that bomb got me. I was like, whoa, they're gone.
Oh, I
There
jumped.
is-
I jumped.
yeah. There was another jump moment. It wasn't really a jump, but like it still got me. Was when she's watching whatever the show was in her cell, and then it just like went black, and then it was like Wanda and Agatha, and I'm like, oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ! God.
Yeah.
One thing I
And,
will say, the cool thing about this episode is it played a trope on most sitcoms that end, or not newer sitcoms, but back in the day, sitcoms like on their last episode or their penultimate episode or whatever, they would acknowledge the audience, and you would see the camera pan off to the crowd. This, like, you see that moment where we finally see how Vision was created and all of that, and you see Agatha clapping or whatever, and it had that moment right before she started clapping where Wanda was on the set.
Mhm.
She wasn't in the house, she was on the set, and she saw all the empty chairs and everything. I thought that was a really cool nod.
Yeah.
Basically telling us as the audience, like, hey, all that is over, and we're going to be moving forward from here on out.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good shout out there, because I thought that was really cool moment too of like her like seeing the lights and everything and all the equipment,
Mhm.
and then obviously just like the empty stands, and it was just Agatha, and it's a little dark because like Clay just mentioned, like normally when they do that sort of things, it's like like yeah, it's sad the show's over, but like we're happy, we're celebrating, but like this, it's like we're still have like
Oh,
a
yeah.
dark cloud over us, like there's still so much that is unresolved.
This show will not get a happy ending. I promise you. Whatever happens next week, it's not gonna be good.
I seriously thought we were gonna get some kid deaths in this episode, honestly, when she was just choking them out
Yeah, you
there
don't
at the
see
end.
kids being choked too much in the MCU.
No, it's not.
Not in
a
any
big
form of
pastime.
media.
Yeah. The kids being choked is one of those kind of no-nos you do. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who saves the day. It's gonna be Monica, it's gonna be Quicksilver, gonna be Vision, gonna be a combination of them. Like, I don't know. Next week, I'm very excited for it. And I
Yeah.
can't wait. Is there anything on this episode that we haven't talked about that you guys wanna
Fractured
touch on?
Wolf shouted out Bryan Cranston this episode. I love that we saw Malcolm in the Middle, especially since we were comparing like last week's episode. I think it was last week's, right? Like the 90s one? Oh no,
2
it was
weeks
the week
ago.
It was
prior.
2
Yeah.
weeks ago. Yeah.
Does that mean
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston's now MCU canon?
Yeah, he's in.
Should have had a
he's in the-
superhero draft.
I don't think he was on my list.
No, that would not count.
Oh what? Come on.
Anything else or all good? Oh, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. Next week is going to be very exciting. Next week is the finale. I think there is going to be lots to talk about. I think we have all the pieces of the puzzle right now, and now we just get to see how they fit. Yeah, we've seen a few things with, Agatha and Wanda's origin and stuff like that. I still love this episode. I think it's one of my favorites. If not, it might be up there with the Monica episode because I like the present day MCU stuff, but I like the Monica episode too, of like the learning how we got there, the flashbacks, the snap and stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for next week. Next week's gonna be, I think it's gonna be spicy. So
Better be. You can't end a show like this and be in disappointment. I'd hope not. At
It's
least.
always possible. It's always possible. So.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. We never hear from us next. We promise you it'll not be boring. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Farewell.